The Society of Women Accountants of Nigeria is stressing the need to create safe spaces, provide psychosocial support and other quality education to empower girls, particularly in crisis situations. This as a highlight in a briefing to commemorate the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child, themed "The Girl I Am, the Change I Lead, Girls on the Front Lines of Crisis." The stress that access to quality education and confidence-building programs are crucial to empowering girls to lead change, especially those facing crisis. We are calling on community stakeholders and policymakers to join forces in ensuring girls not only survive, but thrive as leaders of tomorrow.
Empowering and building confidence in the girl child is a passion and one of the visions and focus of SWAN. To achieve the reality of this year's theme, we must empower them to understand that they have the right to agency over their bodies and futures. We must also be aware of sustainable development goals and must understand that they should be proud of their womanhood at any point in time.
Our girls need commitment. If you want anybody to help you or lift you up, you must be committed to your education, first thing. Then secondly, do not allow money to take you away from your objective. Do not allow social media to take you away from becoming what God has ordained you to become in life.
A girl child needs to be well cared for. They can achieve whatever they set their minds to do if only they are given equal opportunity as the boy child. So today is set aside, and we are appealing to the world all over that let's create an enabling environment for a girl child to thrive.
Okay, for more on this development issue, we have joining us now in the studios a girl child advocate and a chartered accountant, Adeagbo. Welcome to Newsnight.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, the theme, this year's theme about the girl child is well themed out, if I may, use that without sounding verbose. But what is more crucial here in Nigeria about the girl child, that achieving the aims and objective is, there's so many drawbacks?
Okay, so thanks for that question. Unfortunately, in our current system, we have very deep-rooted economic, social, and cultural barriers to the girl child. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, there was always the saying that a girl should be seen and not be heard. And if in a family they've got restricted funds to send kids to school, they rather send the boy to school because they believe that the girl's education will end in the kitchen. So similar barriers like this have put the girl's education behind the curve. And never mind in this day and age where things are digital, now you can imagine how behind the curve girls are. So this is now a time for the girls to play catch up. And that is why we need to amplify our voices to make sure girls are right in the forefront of accessing education and, more importantly, accessing digital education. Yeah,
great. I mean, but just like you mentioned, certain inhibitions or hindrances are still holding the girl child development back in Nigeria. Socio-cultural, the Girl Child Act, for example, several states are yet to even put pen to paper. And that's why you have a preponderance of the out of school children that girls make up the high number. What kind of advocacy have you been pushing forwards to redress, what has become a status quo or a near status quo?
Okay, so my organization, Higher Foundation, we were set up to reduce the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. So in terms of what we do, we go on the streets and pick up children that are meant to be in school and not in school. But we place higher priority on the girls. So when there is a family that is in poverty, they've got lots of children, they can't send to school, we tend to prioritize the girl child's education to make sure we pick the girl child and make sure the girl child is the one that goes to school, because girl childs are vulnerable. If you don't put them to school, in school, they will either marry them off, or they get pregnant, or they use them as an economical tool in the family. So it's important that you focus them and make sure they're in school, getting education, so that eventually when they have the education and they're economically active, they can actually take their whole family out of poverty. So that's why we've been putting more of our resource and our advocacy in helping the girl child access education.
And how do we change this story further? You know, apart from just picking a handful and, you know, redirecting their compass to becoming, people of means in society tomorrow?
So we really need to reorientate our society, that the way a boy is brought into this world is the same way a girl is brought into this world. And there is no basis for inequality between a girl and a boy. So we need to really change that mindset. We need to engage the community, religious leaders, parents, policymakers, to make sure they advocate and actually amplify the voices that girls are the same as boys. Therefore, they equally need access to good education. Also, it's important that we engage parents, because parents are part of the problem, right? Some mothers are actually happy for their children to be married off rather than to go get education, maybe because whoever their child is going to marry is a rich man, so they need the money. So we need to educate our parents to make sure they allow girls to go to school. Legislation is equally important. Yes, I know we've got lots of legislation, but the implementation of those legislation is a problem. We need to put our money where our mouth is, and we need to put some teeth to those legislation, that whoever is breaking those laws will have to face the consequences. That is not what we are doing at the moment.
And
we need to do that.
What's been the consequence, for example, in Kano State, where annually the government would gather some of these girls and women and marry them off and pay their bride price and the rest? How helpful is that to the development of these young girls?
And that's the point I made earlier, that there's some cultural barriers, because if you challenge that, they'll say it's their culture. There's nothing stopping a girl from getting married. She can access her education and as well get married. It's not an issue. These two can go side by side. But because a girl gets married and then you deprive her from having education, that is not acceptable in this day and age. And in my opinion, the elites and even the legislators are some of the culprits, because they marry these girls very young. They don't allow them to have their education only because they want to get married to them. So it's important that we actually educate our legislators as well, our elites, that please let these girls get education. When they finish their education, they are available to get married. They're not running away.
So there is so much violation of the laws on the rights of the girl child in the country then.
Absolutely.
As your association tried to, bring some of these people to justice, initiate prosecutions and the rest?
We don't have remit in that area. Our strategic strand is about advocacy and actually, helping those girl child to access education. So we don't have our strategy is not to do with prosecuting people who do that. So what we tend to do is we partner with organizations like yours to amplify our voices, to let them know that is not acceptable. These girls need to go to school. Please let them go to school. And hopefully, the penny will drop one of these days and they will comply and allow these girls to access education. Especially, my emphasis is on digital education, because that's the way the world is going now. Any girl child or even boy child that doesn't have access to digital devices and free internet is going to be behind the curve. And the world is an international neighborhood now, you understand? So we want to make sure we skill our boys and our girls so they can compete on the international stage.
So if we take this pragmatic approach of developing the girl child on a scale of 1 to 10, you would say digital knowledge acquisition should be number 1.
Absolutely.
What would be the other 2 to 10 in order of preference?
Right, so leadership skills is important because we want to train these girls to make sure they are leaders of corporations. So we need to make sure they have good leadership skills. They also need to have good interpersonal skills. They need to be well-rounded, because it's not just about your skill, your hard skill. Your soft skill also matters in the workplace. So educating them, mentoring them to make sure they have soft skills, you know, alongside with their hard skills, and to make sure they have resilience and good leadership skills. It's equally important for them to survive in the workplace.
Nobody seems to be talking about the boy child. Are they not burdened too with their, you know, socio-cultural issues? They are trained, don't cry, boys don't cry, men don't cry, and the bodily love on the mind, and they grow up that way and the rest. And you find sudden deaths and depression and stuff like that. So what kind of advocacy are you carrying out for the boy child?
Right. So good question. Our organization is not exclusive to girls only. It's both girls and boys. It's just that we tend to give preference to girls because we believe, you know, they are playing catch up. So we also ensure that the boy child has access to education. We are talking about gender violence. We need to make sure boys know how to behave themselves around girls. Because if they don't know how to behave themselves around girls, then we'll still have this problem of gender violence where boys just treat girls anyhow. So it's important that as we are educating the girls.
So the problem is from the home?
Not necessarily, also the society.
The problem is from the home, where the boy is not allowed or is not domesticated. Isn't that a problem?
Not necessarily, in my opinion, because a parent must bring a child up in the same way, right? They shouldn't treat one child differently from the other. So if you're domesticating your daughter, yes, domesticate your child. And if you're educating your boy child, you must educate your girl child. So it's about equity as far as I'm concerned, basically.
And this equity, again, I want to bring the boy child, you know, just compare along the girl child. They have a United Nations recognized day, I think May, the Day of the Boy Child, okay. May 16th and the rest. But it focuses on their well-being, no doubt, but in a different context, and which can also refer to government population policies and stuff like that. What kind of aggregation, you know, or collaboration or coordination would you want to see that, you know, girls and the boys really develop side by side without any one being advantageous to the other?
Right. So as I said, and as you rightly said as well, it begins from the home. The parents must treat their children equitably, irrespective of the gender. Now, these children start going to school. When they get to school as well, some schools are mixed, some are single-sex school. Especially for the mixed school, they need to make sure boys and girls can work collaboratively in the classroom without the girls feeling, oh no, I can't work with a boy, or the boy is feeling, I can't work with a girl. You understand, at that very tender age. It's important that they understand that they are both human beings with rights. Everybody has their own rights, right? One is not superior to the other, and we can both work collaboratively to advance themselves. I always say that a bird cannot fly with one wing, right? The bird needs two wings. So it's that analogy that I use to describe why a boy child and a girl child needs to work collaboratively to develop themselves. The girls are very good with soft skills. The boys are very good with technical skills. They could train each other. You understand? They could share experiences and to be able to develop themselves better. So boys and girls working together is the way to go. Because in the workplace, you don't have just boys only, you don't have just girls only, you have both men and women. So you need to learn to work together from a very young age.
Absolutely. Thanks so very much. Ronke Adeagbo, she's a chartered accountant and child advocate, for coming to speak to us.
Thanks for having me.